Today, I'll discuss a very important, kind of a dark story. I'll try and narrate a story of one of my greatest heroes, people I look up to, Tom Mboya, Tom Joseph Odhiambo Mboya. This man changed our country, Kenya, as we all know it. So it's important to recognize him. The man was assassinated at a very young age of 39. So, assassination of good leaders is a tragic and a reprehensible act. It undermines democratic principles. It undermines stability. It undermines progress. Efforts to prevent such atrocities must be looked into. We as people in the developing world, we must include strengthening institutions, promoting accountability, fostering dialogue, and reconciliation and addressing the cause of violence and conflict. Sad indeed that great people such as Tom Joseph Odhiambo Mboya could be removed from the face of this world at a very young age. So these assassinations, they steal from us. Tom Mboya was indeed known as a leader who advocated for brotherly love. He advocated for broader national unity. He advocated for cooperation among different ethnic groups in Kenya. We all know that throughout his political career, Tom Mboya emphasized the importance of fostering unity and solidifying strength and solidarity among Kenyans, regardless of their ethnic backgrounds. He believed in the idea of a united Kenya, where all ethnic groups could work together for the common good of the nation. So, Tom Mboya's efforts to promote national unity included initiatives such as advocating for equal opportunities in education, employment, and political representation for all Kenyans. And this, he was advocating it to be done regardless of any ethnicity. We also know he played a significant role in mobilizing support for Kenya's independence. The movement was tough and not easy. He worked alongside leaders from various other groups to achieve this goal of self-governance. So Mboya's assassination was a tragic event. Not only did it deprive Kenyans of a promising leader, but it also highlighted the challenges of achieving national unity in a diverse society. Despite his untimely death, Tom Mboya's vision of a united Kenya continues to inspire all of us. The efforts towards reconciliation and cooperation among different ethnic groups is still going on and very strong. So, Mr. Mboya was a prominent Kenyan politician, a trade unionist. He was gunned down on May 5th in 1969. The exact motive behind this assassination remains a subject of speculation and debate, but several factors have been suggested. Political rivalry. Some people claim Mboya was a key figure in the Kenyan political scene, and he had aspirations for national leadership. His assassination occurred at a time of heightened political tension in Kenya, particularly between different ethnic groups and, of course, political factions. Some believe that Mboya's assassination was politically motivated, possibly orchestrated by his rivals who saw him as a threat to their own ambitions. Kenyan political landscape at that time was deeply influenced by dynamics of different parts of the country. And Mboya was perceived as a leader who advocated for a broader national unity and cooperation among different people. However, the assassination occurred against a backdrop of high tension within the country amongst every group. Some believe that this assassination was based on ethnicity. Some people think it was Cold War politics. During the Cold War era, Kenya was seen as a strategic important country right in the east coast of Africa. So in the context of an East African geopolitics, Mboya was perceived as a socialist leaning politician and had close ties with various countries, including the United States, including the United Kingdom. So some conspiracy theorists suggest that his assassination could have been influenced by external forces seeking to destabilize Kenya or eliminate leaders perceived as aligning with opposing ideology camps or ideological camps. Land and economics, some people claim, Mboya was involved in efforts to address land redistribution and economic empowerment for the ordinary Kenyans. These ordinary Kenyans, particularly those through his support for cooperatives and trade unions, his advocacy for this cause may have made him enemies amongst powerful economic interests who stood to lose from such reforms. Despite various theories, the exact motive and perpetrators behind Tom Mboya's assassination have never been defined. It has never been established. This event remains a significant moment in Kenyan history, symbolizing the challenges and complexities of the country's political landscape. So, basically, the day he was assassinated, it was a quiet Saturday afternoon in Nairobi. And that time, Tom Mboya was Kenya's Minister for Economic Planning and Development. He was doing a little shopping in downtown Nairobi. He stepped into Chahani's pharmacy to buy a bottle of lotion. As he emerged from the store, an assassin opened fire. Escaping in the ensuing confusion, Mboya was struck by a bullet in the chest, blood soaking his sweat jacket, and he died in an ambulance on the way to Nairobi Hospital. Grieving Kenyans soon gathered in such numbers at the hospital that baton-wielding police were called out to keep the crowd at bay. Now, only 38 was his age. This man, this well-articulated Tom Mboya, he embodied many of the qualities of a great man. The qualities so urgently needed by the fledgling nation of Black Africa. His qualities were needed by the country Kenya. He was a member of the Kenya's second or first liberation. His leadership skills were second to none. But he saw his real loyalty to Kenya as opposed to even any ethnic group. He was an early and fervent apostle for his country, freedom, and he was inspired by great leaders like Jomo Kenyatta, Oginga Odinga. But he deplored the violence and bloodshed that was going on in the country at that time. There was uprisings everywhere against the British, and he refused to participate in war. And that is the reason why he even came to the United States and had meetings with JFK, Kennedy, Martin Luther King, and other great leaders in the US. He therefore became the architect of independent Kenya's major document, including the Constitution, of which peace, prosperity, education were the key pillars. He pleaded, and he also pleaded eloquently for a Marshall Plan for all of Africa. Thus, the meetings with great African leaders like Julius Nyerere, Sekou Toure, Kwame Nkrumah, and he marshaled the plan for the creation of an African economy and the brotherhood of the extended family, the entire Africa. So Mr. Tom Joseph Mboya thought of himself as an African socialite or an African socialist. That catch-all for moderate African reforms. He favored mixed economies throughout pro-Western, with close ties with both the US and British company. Of course, as you know, he spent a few years at Oxford University. Tom Mboya had no use for the Soviet Union and Chinese efforts at that time to get foothold in Kenya. He sided with the US and the British. It was on that issue that Tom Mboya and his principal political friends worked with him to help Kenya gain independence from the colonists, the British. As you know, politics, so he had many enemies. He also has personal friends. But he was a strong politician with the main goal of liberating Kenya and fostering peace. So, this idea of people trying to eliminate good leaders, this threat to existing power structures, good leaders who challenge existing power structures, whether political, economic, or social, always tend to be targets for the little man or people who don't see beyond their own selfish agenda. As Africans, we need to enact reforms to address injustices that may threaten the interest of those in position of power to benefit those in the status quo. We need reforms to address these injustices because up to today, the people who eliminated Tom Mboya have never been put to book. Ideological opposition leaders. Leaders who promote ideologies or policies that are opposed by certain factions or extremist groups may also be targeted. Why? Ideologies could be just somebody's opinion. I mean, these ideologies could be political, religious, or cultural in nature. Why would anybody view these as a symbol of threat just because somebody thinks differently. We are human beings and we have that choice to think differently. Some people think external forces may have led to assassination of Tom Mboya. In some cases, external forces may be involved in orchestrating the assassination or the elimination of geopolitical leaders and for geopolitical reasons. Let me remind the world, this just destabilizes a country. It just causes chaos. You cannot influence the leadership over people who want certain people. You will disrupt the regional dynamics of a strategic plan or gain. There is no need for external interference in most of these developing countries. Let them choose their own leaders. Why destabilize a country? Why influence its leadership? There's no point. So, I think it's important to recognize that eliminating our good leaders is tragic and reprehensible. It's a bad act. It's a reprehensible act. It undermines democratic principles. It undermines stability. It undermines progress. Every effort to prevent such atrocities must be pushed. I will say again, we must strengthen institutions within countries and organizations, so these institutions can be strong and do their work on their own. We must promote accountability. When you're wrong, you're wrong. You have to be accountable for your actions. Let's foster dialogue. Let's talk. Instead of acting violently, open a dialogue. Discuss with somebody. Understand where it's coming from. Most of all, we must learn how to reconcile. Reconciliation. Nobody is perfect. We do deeds that we're not proud of sometimes. But that's not enough for somebody from the other side to just come and do this crazy, bad act of somebody. Reconciliation is a good answer. Most importantly, let's address root causes of violence and conflict. Why be violent while you can reason as a grown-up or as an intelligent person? The root cause might be just something simple, but the most important thing, just because we have a different opinion does not give anybody authority to act in a violent way. May the good, great Tom Mboya's spirit live forever. May the good Tom Mboya's values and morals and what he stands for live forever. Had he been alive, I believe the whole of Africa would have been a different place. Pan-Africanism is a Pan-Africanist. He was a leader. He was a unifier. He was a trade unionist and a key national figure of the nation. We miss you, and we hope to get another leader in Africa like you in the near future. Thank you. Tom Joseph Odhiambo.